the essence of that.
We are making shift happen as we speak. Surprise, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Shift Happens show where lots of shift happens, shifting all the time. This is a clean cut version show, so there's no swearing. Although Dina and I, we've been doing our shows now, it's been a year, and almost every single time when we have a clean cut version of our shows, I always post up on stories and do reels, and I always throw in the explicit music. Throw it in there, mix it up a little and catch everyone's attention, and then go, oh, no, it's clean cut. So
by the way, this is clean cut.
By the way, this is clean cut. So if you're watching, you will notice with me this afternoon is not Dina.
I'm not Dina.
Surprise! Shift is happening. Dina is currently tied up at the moment and she will be with us shortly. However, our guest is here. And what is even better was that I forgot we had a guest. So the shift is really happening today. And my guest forgot she was coming on as well. So I think that's a perfect mixture of making shift happen and shifting our lives into making it what it is. So welcome.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Chantal, to the Shift Happens show, where all the shift happens. Dina and I, we've been doing this for a year now. We kind of do a variety of different shows where we talk about, we did like just different shifts in our lives. So, for example, if you haven't been watching, we did back last fall, we did the fall shifts where, you're like you're a parent and you come in and you go, oh, it's fall time. I'm just kind of filling Chantal in on our shows a little bit of kind of what we do. So the fall time, we did fall shifts. So we went from shifting our mindsets from like the fun summer, and usually not usually, but some parents have a schedule for summer. Some don't, like yourself, you have a camp thing going on, great. Whereas some people are like, oh, they just do whatever. So how do you shift your mindset after summer going into the fall time and going back into a routine? So we talked a little bit about that. Yeah. We did Christmas shifts, Xmas shifts, talking about how do you shift from, the holidays where you have to shift your mindset of going, okay, there may or may not be somebody at this Christmas party or Christmas dinner that you don't really get along with, but you just want to go and enjoy and just have a nice Christmas dinner. How do you shift that mindset from going, you know what? I'm actually looking forward to it this year. Let's see what happens. Let's have some fun. Bring them a gift or even like gifts. How do you shift your mindset on like gift giving? Because sometimes people are expected, well, maybe there's $100 gift limit and you're like, I can't afford $100 gift limit when there's people to buy for. And, and how do you shift these from going, well, I hope they appreciate just something I made at home. And how do we work around that stuff? So these were some ideas of what we kind of played with over the last year. We did stampede shifts. And again, we could have implemented it. And we did talk a little bit about it for our summer shifts. We didn't dive too much into it because our summer shift show was actually right before Canada Day. So it was kind of a threefold show, but we're like, nah, we're just doing summer. I'm going to shift with the summer. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you could shift.
Had a doctor's appointment, went later than I expected, so my apologies, but I knew you guys could carry it without me.
Unacceptable. You tell your doctor.
Right?
Come on camera and tell us how do they shift with it, right? That's okay.
Welcome, Chantal.
Thank you.
We decided to start.
Chantal was actually with us at the wine, she joined us later when we were at the wine tasting location. Last fall, and we had just done an episode.
That was actually a bit of a shift for me because I consider myself to be on the more introverted side of things, generally speaking. I can like fake extrovertism. I can get out there and like be very social, but my preference is generally to just be a little more like, maybe one-to-one with people or have a lot of solo time. And so going out to this event where there were going to be lots of women. Like I didn't know what to expect, and people were going to be drinking wine. And I think I said that to you, Dina. Like I stopped drinking a while ago, so I was like, okay, I'm putting myself in this circle where people are going to be drinking, and they're women I don't know, and I had all kinds of like little stories bubbling up inside of me. But I showed up and I was like, I'm doing this, and I had such a great time and met some really great people. So that was
That's
like a
usually what happens, we build up all these ideas in our brain, and then we do the whole what's that syndrome? Um, imposter syndrome, right? We make up all these ideas and we're like, I'm not going to fit in, and this is going to happen, and I'm not going to have a good time. But yet there's always that part of us that goes, you know what? Just go. Just go. Just if you don't want to just be there an hour, then you can leave. Like you talk yourself up. Dina was great. She invited me and I was like, sure, I would love to go, because I had never been to a wine tasting. And I thought this will be fun. And then we decided to do our Shift Happen show there because it fell on the same day, and it was perfect. It was so fun. And again, like, I understand where you're coming from, because there are days too where I'm pretty much an ambivert. I do like my alone time. I do like my outside time, and I like, going to the networking events and meeting everyone, but I can handle so much of it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm talked out. So like,
I like the ambivert or whatever you said. I'm actually more of like what you described, Chantal, I call it an extroverted introvert. So if I'm in those situations, I can connect and just like be really present and talking to people and because I'm curious, and I try and encourage other people to be curious. What I'd love to hear is with your training and your programs and things that you offer to teenagers, specifically teen girls, how would you suggest as a teen that they handle situations like that? And especially, they might find through the summer, maybe their parents are on vacation, you're visiting family and friends you don't see often. Maybe they put you in a camp where you're going to be with a bunch of other people you don't really know that well, or other teens. Like, let's really dig into this.
We're laughing because there was just that same conversation before we went live.
Yeah. So I mean, long story short, I was looking to get my son, who is just on the edge of being a teen, here to go to a camp so he could socialize a little bit more and start to meet people in this area. And it was like a flat out no refusal all the time. And so I asked one of my dear friends, who's very like to the point, not afraid to push people, like really like, let's get her done. And I said, well, what do I do? What do I do? And she said, well, I bribe, like just bribe him. And when we got into it, what she did is she made a deal with her daughter, and it worked really well. So I went to my son and tried this technique of making a deal, and it worked. And he just came back from his last day of camp for the week, and he had a good time, and he met a couple people, and he had fun, so it was good. He didn't like the fact that, like, after he made the deal, he was like, Mom, I think I want to go back on my deal. I don't know about this camp thing. He was starting to feel the nerves, which is so real. And I just really tried to be like, okay, yeah, like, I get it. And also, maybe if we go into it with like a kind of a neutral thing, like not expecting it to be amazing and be let down, but also not expecting it already to be the worst before you've had a chance to try it. Like, what if we just go in with it kind of neutral? Like, let's just see what happens. And he was willing to meet me there and said it was okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Are there bribes that are healthy and some that might not be as healthy?
Sure.
Or what?
This was a healthy bribe. This was a healthy bribe.
I absolutely
more guidance around this.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, if I'm really, really transparent, I'm just learning this technique myself. I was saying to my friend, I'm very collaborative in my parenting. And so sometimes what that does is sometimes I'm afraid to push, because I'm like, is this in collaboration? But even in the bribe, which I'll call make a deal, in the make a deal, I said, hey, what would make you like consider this camp thing? Like, what would be something that would you be excited about, and you'd be like, yes, like I'll try this deal thing. And for him, there are these like packages that he wanted for a video game that he's playing to help customize his character, and that for him felt like the thing. So he got his packages, and the deal was you attend camp for these 3 days. And there's something, Cari, you said a little bit earlier was about going to that group. I think you said something along the lines of, you can tell yourself, if I really hate it, I can leave, or I can just stay for an hour and then leave, or whatever. We talked about that too. And I think back to your question, Dina, about how parents can do that with teens. I think like even that self-talk around like, if this is so awful, like my brain is painting the worst case scenario, and if that actually comes true, like there are opt-out options. And I think even just knowing that in our head can help us just take a breath and be like, okay, at least there's an out if it's the absolute worst.
Right, you're not trapped.
I think we do need to have that going into those situations, especially if we've already been like having little mild panic attacks going, I want to go, but I don't want to go. I want to go. And then, okay, you know what? Just go for like an hour. And then, and I've often tell my friends that too, that they, I want to go try something. And I'll say, hey, do you want to come along? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'll be like, like just an hour. And if you don't want to be there past an hour, or you really hate it, we'll just leave. Like, I have no problem with that. Even if a friend's trying a new movie or trying, an experience, whatever it is, I'm like, I'm never going to hold someone down by the throat and go, look, you have to stay. Like, never, because we're all so different. We all experience things differently, where like moms have this idea of camp being fun and what it was maybe for when we were little, but maybe it's changed for how kids are. And like kids have a different idea because maybe they saw this horrible camp movie on TV and they're like, I don't want to go to camp, or they play these games and, hold hands singing Kumbaya. I'm like, no, thank you. So we build these ideas up, and where, like you said, if there's an escape button and it's like, yeah, I can go half an hour, 20 minutes even. I could walk in a room and turn right around if I just like have an expectation and it's not like to part, or if there's maybe somebody in the room I don't get along with or whatever. And I can just feel like, but even challenge yourself to stay for an hour at least, because situations can change even in an hour. Right. So that's, it's hard. It's tough, but it's a good shift to try and take and do that.
It's important that we encourage them to listen to their instincts and not discount their instincts. But if we've had a discussion with them and they know that we aren't going to be disappointed, or we're not going to fault them or call it a failure, we support them if they really do make that choice.
I think so too. And all kinds of ideas were kind of popping, even for like the program that I run, a lot of the girls that end up signing up for it, their parents are like, I think this will be really good for her, but she's kind of on the fence, or she's not sure she wants to be a part of this. And so we often do have conversations with them about, what's showing up, like what are the hesitancies, so that we can understand and then have a conversation about some of that stuff. And if they're able to express what's going on, like, is it I don't want to be judged? Is it, like I think it's going to be too noisy? Is it, it's going to be a bunch of activities I don't like? If we can understand what's underlying some of that, that hesitancy, then we have a chance to first hear it, and then secondly, maybe be able to troubleshoot some of it if possible.
Yeah, I like that. Then they're not really forced going in. They're heard, they're listened to. Yeah, like you said, and get their opinions, like the whys, why they have that perspective going in, instead of just like, no, go in and you'll like it. Like, and we can give our experiences of when we were little, going into camp or whatever, and say, like, I do have a real super quick story. I was the same. My parents sent me to camp in the summertime when I was younger, and it was Camp Chestermere. And I think I was just bored, and my parents are like, we're going to stick you in camp. By the end of the week, I was like, you can't take me away from this place. So my dad literally paid for like a whole summer of me being at camp. And he's like, yeah, we went broke to put you in camp. And I was like, oh my goodness. But it was so great. They had horseback riding and they had like archery and, sports on the water, all that stuff. And it was just like my whole mindset just shifted really quickly, and I enjoyed it and made some friends. So we can maybe share those experiences with them. Go, you may end up having a great time, but yeah, there's the eject button. There's the let me quit button anytime. Not a problem. Dina, do you have a story of a turnaround story like that when you were a teenager?
Not really.
She's like, no, I'm a nerd and I liked it all.
No, I just wasn't allowed to go to a lot of those things. So
Oh yeah.
mine was more, I just stayed at home and I knew that others were going and I couldn't go. So I didn't have those, I wasn't petitioning my parents to want to go to these things that I can remember. I wanted to play sports a lot and, occasionally could go to the odd thing, but we had others. I was on a ranch, a farm, and there were responsibilities with the animals and whatnot. And so I didn't really necessarily feel like I miss the bonding time with other kids. I had three younger brothers, no near neighbors. So, it was just, that's probably fostered my introvert. Others may react the other way and be completely like, I got to make up for all that lost time, be total extroverts. But I'm very comfortable with my own company or just being in nature or around very few people. And so in a way, I'm grateful for that. I did get a lot of like hands-on life lessons and activities and, learned creative things. My mom and grandma taught me to sew when I was baking, and we'd go berry picking and we'd go to swimming lessons at the lake and, the old green algae water and stuff like that. So I learned to swim in.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah, like that's some of my summer experiences. And, just didn't see a lot of other kids my age. And so that's why it makes me so curious to know, what other opportunities are there for kids? Like we've kind of talked about camp, but how else can we support our teens and give them experiences and opportunities to be comfortable with themselves? Like I'm seeing the teens, they spend enormous amounts of time sitting on Snap. They're just sitting there on their phones plugged into the wall so it doesn't die. And that's like, what a colossal waste of time and me, I love my phone. My work, a lot of that is on a phone and social media. They're learning, they're laughing, they're being entertained. It isn't, I'm not against it. It's just, how, Chantal, help us. Like, how can we support our
Give us some tips and tricks that might even help us adults out.
We have a whole summer ahead of us. How can we really create those bonding times with our kids or great experience?
For sure. Yeah, I'm taking inspiration from some of the teens that I've worked with that have said this is what I'm doing this summer. I like to approach people with curiosity and just kind of hey, what are you doing this summer? What are you excited about? What are you less excited about? Just kind of get what's up for them. And I think there's a lot of different things out there. One thing that I discovered recently is there's some free programming, and I know this isn't accessible everywhere, but there are places in Calgary and Okotoks, there's a place called McMahon Youth and Family Center, and they have some different free programming for youth. There are youth centers and stuff that I'm discovering are all over the place, which can kind of be hangout spaces for teens to go and be with each other. I think one thing that a lot of teens have said to me is if they make plans with their current friends, if they're proactive about making plans with their current friends, even though they might be, away on holidays sometimes or not always available, just knowing that they've got a hangout that's upcoming or something is really, really helpful for them. This one's screen oriented, but I think it's okay because it's not a bad thing to be on your screen. It's just about like the intention and the way we use it and how often we use it. But some of the teens that I've been working with, they love to do like reruns of favorite movies and stuff like that. And so they're just like kind of connecting to things that bring them joy. I think if parents are available now, I know some parents are working and it may not be a possibility for them to be as present as others might be in the summertime. But if parents do have a little bit of flexibility, just being able to spend a little bit of time together, whether it's taking a walk or, getting a Slurpee or something together, just like spending a little bit of time. Or I had a mom say to me the other day, like my teen asked me if we could go get a new swimsuit because they wanted a swimsuit. And I was kind of supposed to be going to this meeting, this work related thing, but I knew I could be flexible about it. And I just wanted to spend time with them because that's what I want them to remember is, during the summer, their mom was able to say yes to certain things. So if that's a possibility, just to spend a little bit of quality time together, it doesn't have to be anything crazy or expensive, or it can just be a few minutes here and there. Yeah.
Maybe say to kids that are old enough to do this, and it can be fairly young.
Yeah.
How about you plan what we're going to make for supper? Let me know. We'll run and get groceries together, or let me know. I'll pick it up on my way home from work, and we'll make this together for the family. Or you pick the game tonight, or you pick the movie tonight. We'll do it as a family. Or where are we going to go on our bicycle? What new trail or park are we going to explore? What new dog park could we take the dog to tonight? Or where would you like to go for the weekend? And like get them involved in these decisions. And then you're going to find out something new and try something that maybe they're the expert at and give them an opportunity to teach you something. And maybe it is like, let's learn a new TikTok dance together and record it and do something crazy. Or like, I don't know, just get curious what they want, what they're interested in.
Polish up your bracelet making skills. Those are making a comeback right now. There you go. Yeah.
I used to do those all the time. Make bracelets for everyone at camp, believe it or not.
I still do. I made a whole bunch one time and I sent them out to my friends, and it was so hilarious because some of them were like, "Oh, thanks for the great bookmark."
You're like, okay, one step further, just go whoop, and you won't lose it.
What about my latest?
It's interpretational crafting.
Look at Gina's
my latest craft. And I'm making all my little pocket hugs and sending everybody. Yeah, there's your little pocket hug. Carrie got one.
Oh, those are amazing.
I was like, she sent it in the mail, and I was like, this is so cute. And then it just like a little saying about my pocket hug, and I was like, that's so cute.
That's a great
I keep it right beside my birthday card of unicorn farts.
unicorn farts and pocket hugs
and rainbows. Yeah.
As you know.
I think it's fun. Like we used to have the pen pal thing. Why couldn't they do that again and do the old school thing? And maybe it's their grandma. A lot of families don't live near each other anymore. Cousins. They have had a family reunion and all they're doing is Snapchatting each other. But it's like, hey, let's do something fun. Like, let's get out the watercolors and paint cards for all our,
grandmas.
Whoever we want to, grandmas. Yeah, and aunties, and let's just surprise them with,
something handmade.
Unicorn farts.
Yeah, and there's no lack of creative possibilities out there. I think a lot of the girls in our group, they just like have so many. They link to Pinterest, and they're like they have 500 ideas just like that. They're like, yeah, what about this? So I think like the creativity, the inspiration for creativity is so accessible.
Oh yeah, there's too much out there. It's too easy. Go on and type in pocket hugs, and you're going to get a million ideas and.
Well, during COVID, I dug out the sewing machine, got some fabric and elastic, and taught the girls how to make scrunchies because that was they were back in vogue again. And then they just loved it. So they made scrunchies for their whole teams and handed them out. And everybody was just like, oh my God, you give me a scrunchie. It's just like,
yeah.
It's like a bracelet, friendship scrunchie.
That's so
I
good.
love that idea. Can we make scrunchies the next show?
Yeah, sure we can. We can do it actually we're doing AI the next show, but maybe later.
After.
But I love the idea, Chantal, of suggesting hopping on, like TikTok has those types of things probably too, but Pinterest and they can pin their posts or save some TikTok things and just challenge them to find something creative and work with them. Like I literally picked up, you just stop at Walmart or somewhere, pick up a few little balls of yarn, or a lot of this is quite accessible for most people, and just have fun with it and maybe challenge them to find something creative that they could show the family. And again, I really want to reiterate that is there something that they're interested or they have a strength in, and everybody's going to get a turn. So we're just going to suck it up and we're all going to play Mario Kart or something like whatever it is. I dated myself there, but anyways.
They still have Mario Kart. You're good.
Oh, do they? Okay. So this person is the expert on this. They're going to show us. And here you got your 10-year-old showing the 14-year-old older sibling that they're usually like, nick, nick, nick. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this. And they get to be a leader in the home. And then it's going to be another, maybe the parents all want to teach. Everybody wants to waltz tonight. And the parents are jive, And it's like, hey, kids, this was my night to pick. And so I want to teach you how to dance.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. We have been doing a family day, just setting aside Sunday as a family day for the four of us. And the boys just schooled us in basketball. I know that's like an old person term, but I think we got maybe one basket in, and then they just whooped us. And it was so good because speaking of, the area where they, have some mastery and they felt confident. And then you had, John and I just trying our best to keep up. It was a good time. It was a good time because I think they felt good. They were doing something they loved. They were also beating mom and dad very, very much at the sport. And yeah, they were really, and then I felt really just really happy for them because although I was very much losing, I was enjoying watching them succeed at something. It was a good time.
What is so great about these things is that those crafts and little ideas can actually lead into a business venture, right? The basketball stuff, that could lead them in going into coaching. So when they show those types of skills and they have that big interest for it, you can easily sit down and have that conversation and go, hey, is this something maybe you would like to do as a career choice, right? To kind of get that little flame ignited into thinking about that, going, you have so much fun with it. Why not make it, and some kids do like like TikTok little stores, and they do like crocheted pocket hugs or whatever and sell the unicorn farts in a jar. And it becomes like their little passion, and they really do like to do that. So that's another idea, I think, with teens that is quite often overlooked, going, there's a forte, and can it be made into a career a little later on? But it also, it enhances like their team building skills and creativity and their planning skills, all their stuff that they're going to need to create a business as well. So that's something I look at it going, there's a lot more to just planning a night of basketball or game night or whatever. Like, this really shows their responsibility and all their amazing skills that they have that you would never know otherwise, right? Yeah, I think it's so cool.
Volunteering comes to mind. So there's many, many opportunities you can volunteer as a family or encourage, maybe even start as a family and they continue on. But the coaching can even fit under that. Is there younger groups that they could be an assistant with, or a junior coach or something like that as well. That's just the sports side of it. But there's lots of volunteering in our communities that maybe they might get into in the summer, and again, could lead to a career or a way that they support in their community, maybe.
Absolutely. I love how this conversation is sparking so many things. As soon as I hear one of you talk, I'm like, oh, yes, and so it's so good because I was also thinking,
horrible, sorry.
Summertime can be a certification, like a certification time, right? So if your teen, because school sometimes can be a busy time of year, there's a lot of routine and structure and other stuff going on, but maybe this is a time where they go for their first aid. Maybe they get their babysitter's course certification. Maybe they get their learners. Like there's just time and opportunity potentially to focus a little bit of energy on something that will continue to support them and help them grow and develop some new skills.
Yeah, I love that idea.
One of our girls got her lifeguard, not during the summer, but that's another thing that they could do. And that you can be doing that through college and make some good money.
Yeah. Yeah. So lots of different things.
Lots of different things.
If there's an occupation that they're curious about, maybe they can even find a way to shadow and see if it's something that that it's what they think it is.
Yeah. And again, it's nice over the summer because then it's, sometimes they have an open door where they can internship and it's only for 6 weeks instead of having to go all year with like the courses in university and stuff. That's part of the curriculum and they have to be doing the shadow work. Whereas for kids, if they're just outside of school, you can ask someone at your work or someone you may know and go, hey, can they just shadow you for a month in the summertime or something? And then again, there's little summer jobs as well. Callaway Park, they do little jobs for the summertime for younger kids. Stampede does it for the week. That kind of gets them into the door, gets them outside of the house. If they're introvert, it's more of a, extroverted thing that can help them just gently get them into being around other people without actually having to really be around them in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're in a large crowd, but they still don't have to fully interact if they're just like picking up garbage or they're doing something like that. It's so small of a job. Like they can just walk around, not have to talk to anyone and just still enjoy being outside and being a part of a team. Right. So that's another idea.
It's an opportunity to learn about money and managing money and having a responsibility to show up for a job on time and do your
I think we
job.
should talk about that. Let's talk a little bit about money and teens. Chantal, what's some of your experience when it comes to perhaps teaching them how to save a little bit?
Well, one thing, this is not totally answering your question right away, but I will get to it because it has come up recently quite a bit that teens are feeling really stressed about money, really, feeling like a lot of anxiety towards it. And it's an interesting kind of thing because it's like, okay, anxiety does like to plug itself on something very concrete. And so if, and as teens get older, they become more money conscious and just understanding how the world works. And so it's not an unusual thing for some of their anxiety and worry and focus to go into this thing, this stressor, how am I going to make money, all that stuff. So to answer your question around saving and stuff like that, some of the conversations that I will have with teens sometimes is like asking them what it is that so if they are making some money, like what are some of the things that they are like looking forward to doing? What are some things that really light them up? Do they have goals? Also just talking about like where they would like some of that money to go and like talking about different areas. Like you mentioned volunteering earlier. I think like there is this idea of like, do we want to have some of our money go towards contributing towards something that we really care about? And if so, like, what do they think about that idea of if I make some money, do I want a little bit of that or a lot of that to go towards something like an organization or somewhere that, I really care about? And where are some other pockets of places where that money can go? Do I want some for free spending, for fun spending? Do I want some for, saving for future things? And just kind of like talking about the different pockets and areas where where money can travel.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool. Very insightful too. That is a struggle that they're having and a stressor that they're facing. And, things cost a lot. And so if they want something and their parents would say, hey, you save up, and they start to realize the cost of things that maybe they were taking for granted, they learn to value things differently, but it also gives them an opportunity to contribute and to find creative ways that they can make some money.
Yeah.
I'd like to also touch on kids when they aren't in school during the summer and they're home alone a lot.
Oh, yes.
How can we protect them? How can we inspire them to use that time? What are some things that we really should be aware of and considering for them?
Yeah, oftentimes parents are working during the summer. They may or may not have siblings around. So we wanted to touch up a little bit on the mental health side of things for teens that, like Dina said, they may not have an opportunity to go and do something for the summer.
Right. And that can be a really scary thing for a parent if there is that, like, okay, I know that my teen's going to be home alone for hours and hours and hours. And what does that mean for them? Like, what will they be doing with their time? That can be a scary thing. Yeah. And Dina, to be honest, like, I think that it's a tricky one because it's like in the moment, yes, there are some things we can do. I really see this as being a process, like a process of how do we communicate with our teens, and then deciding as a family too, like, what does that look like? Are there expectations that are in place? Does our family, like, how do we value this summertime? What are some of the values our family holds around what this time is going to look like? Maybe some collaboration and curiosity around conversations. There are some teens that families are like, hey, you got to be up by 11 and I expect you to be doing X, Y, and Z before I get back. And some teens have very little expectations put upon them for the summer, and then there's everything in between. So I see it as a bit of a process, like ahead of time, of having these conversations about what is this going to look like, and how are we going to check in, or what are the expectations that I have as a parent? What are some things that you would love for your summer? And just kind of like keeping those conversations flowing. And if you're a parent and you're like, I haven't had that conversation with them and they've been sitting around, I think, doing nothing, or maybe doing something I don't want them to be doing, what do I do now? I just always say, like, okay, well, maybe that was like happening then, and you can start with something today. Like, there's no harm in saying, listen, like, we've had a couple weeks of just kind of like doing a lot of nothingness, a lot of just like free range, being on our phones, whatever. I'd like to talk about the next few weeks of summer and maybe what that can look like, and start the conversation then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd love to hear from both of you, because I feel like that's like it's a thing. What do you think?
Yeah.
Some concern too, right? To protect them as well, because in that boredom, which, how are they filling it? What vulnerabilities are there for them, especially in a world where they are exposed to more than we had been, right? Yeah. And so we also don't want to see them just vegetate. Like, allow them that downtime.
Great, they're doing nothing, but
there's a nice balance of them feeling like, I have to be up by this time, but to have a conversation of what does that mean? That means now you have more hours. Is there something you'd like to learn? Or is there a hobby that you'd like to try, or somewhere that you care about helping? So then, well, maybe we could volunteer, or why don't you help plan our camping trip? I'm going to be busy at work. Can you help plan what we need to pack, or what meals, and then the grocery list? Like, how can you involve the kids and make them feel really valued, but also not just vegetate the whole summer?
Get them to do home inventory. How many sheets do we have, Queen, King?
We have 18,000 dishcloths.
Can you color coordinate them and
sort your socks?
And then there's the
I'll find the
power of
empty socks.
community that comes to mind. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
if you've got family friends, if you've got friends that have kids that are around the same age,
Yeah.
it's not the same as like, can you look after my 15-year-old kind of deal? That's not the situation anymore. But
No.
it's like, hey, like, Kaylee's mom is home this week, and Kaylee doesn't have much to do. Do you want to go spend a few days over there? There's like, she's got a few ideas of things that you all could do together. What do you think of that? And so we
Yeah,
can
that's a
also
good
look at our
idea.
community for ideas and for support, and
Yeah.
maybe you do a swap.
Yeah, I like the swap idea. I know sometimes, again, depending on ages, they have, just summer activity, like the city puts on
Mm-hmm.
summer activities in different areas of the city as well. So maybe there's an activity going on in your community, and then the neighboring community, they can go and do that. Sometimes there are day camps. Dean and I touched a little bit on this before, but sometimes with camps, I'm just going to put it out there again, but they can volunteer doing like a leadership and training program
Mm-hmm.
with day camps as well. And then they can kind of be doing that for the summertime and planning things. So if that's of interest to someone, but I like the swap idea too. If you know one parent is going to be home for a couple weeks or a week, just sort of see if they don't have to necessarily stay overnight every single night, but just pop in or out or whatever, and just kind of check in on the kids and kind of see what they can do. I also like Dina's idea of just like planning some activities, like, oh, maybe there is a new they want to learn how to make pocket hugs. I'm just going to put it out there. Well, so get them, like, go shopping together and buy the materials for that. Get them invested and going, okay, I want you guys to show me how to make them. So at the end of the week, let me know what you guys learned and how it went, and teach me something new instead of the kids just doing it all on their own. They can, be the teacher at the end of the week going, yeah, this is what we learned. We did like 10 different colors and whatever, and just get them so involved that the time goes by quickly instead and they learn something, right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
I like the leaderships, like that stuff I think is so key, just to get them feel wanted and needed, and because they are, right? Yeah.
100%. Love that. The cool aunt just came to mind. If you've got a cool aunt in your world, just like right, it's like, hey, cool aunt, are you available? Can you plan something with with so and so and book a time to go out? Because sometimes I think our teens, all of us, not just teens, will pick kind of the easiest thing. And if the easiest thing is to turn to my screen and snap all day because it requires less effort, I might opt for that. But if I have a few options, or if I have, someone who reaches out to me and really makes me feel like they want to spend time with me, like I matter, like they're curious, like they see me, then yeah, I can turn, I can pivot that way.
Yeah. I like the aunties too, because then sometimes when you're an aunt, like, your nieces and nephews, but you don't know them. So that gives the niece and nephew the opportunity to go, hey, like, you can say to them, take me to your favorite places. Like, where do you guys like to go? Tell me your favorite ice cream places, or, what are some things you guys do as a family? And again, have them like be proud in that moment to show you, okay, well, I took my favorite auntie to this place today, and oh, she loved it. And they've got those amazing stories after, right? So yeah,
Definitely.
I love that. Yeah, that's good.
I have another question. I'm going to dive back into mental health.
Yes.
It's really hard as a parent or an aunt or a grandma or whatever to see kids being left out. How can we help support them when, their group is going to a movie, or they're going off to a hike or something, and they didn't get invited?
Yeah, that's hard.
I'd be like, screw you guys, let's just go ourselves.
Right. Yeah. So
sometimes.
So like it's a tough one, because nobody likes to feel rejected. Nobody likes to feel left out. It's one of those really hard moments in life. And I think we all have experienced that to some degree, what it's like to feel excluded or left out in a way. So my mind goes to like, the first thing is like, just find that part in you that understands what it might feel like in that moment for them. Because I think sometimes as parents, and I'm super like, yep, I've done this a lot, is I go into rescue mode. And they don't need me to go into rescue mode right away. All right, they don't. Yeah, they don't need me to go like, well, let's go see a movie on our own, or let's find another group of people for you to hang out with, which are all great ideas. I don't want to like disinvest those ideas because they're great. I think that it's just really important to just show that empathy, that like I see the pain in this, or I can imagine what it feels like to experience this. I think that's like the number one thing before we step into, okay, how do we maybe like find some comfort or a distraction or a solution for this.
Acknowledge those feelings instead of just, well, let's just push those aside and replace it with something else. But really sit in that for a minute and acknowledge it. Okay.
You know, it may be appropriate in the sense of I trust that parents kind of have an intuitive side of themselves as well. And it might make sense for them to share a little bit of their own story.
Yeah.
It may not be, it may not be, you know, it may land, it may not, but I think there can be moments when it's like, hey, like, I know this is not your experience exactly. It's just reminding me of a time when this happened to me. And just give a little short, a short synopsis of the experience. And sometimes that also lets them know that, like, you're trying.
You're not the only one. Yeah.
You're not the only one. Yeah.
Open to talking about it.
Yeah.
And we're not judging them for being left out. Like, what's wrong with you that they left you out?
Yeah.
You know, it's not that. It's, you know, I'm here for you and I really care. How does this feel for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sitting in those moments going, okay, I think we've all been like chosen last for like, you know, dodgeball at school or something. And you're like, why didn't you pick me? And what's wrong with me? But it's, you know, just the luck of the draw or however, you know, whatever happens. And, you know, sometimes life is just like that. But getting them to understand that sometimes it isn't who they are or whatever. Maybe just everyone in that one specific group wanted to go and see whatever movie and they didn't really have that interest. It never showed any interest. Like, we can go, there was like the vampire movies and everyone was so into it. Some people don't even have that interest at all. They may not even have read the books or done anything and never shown any interest, but yet everyone went to the movie and they were still excluded because why? Well, you never showed any interest in the movie, or, you know, so we didn't think you would want to come along. But just that feeling of like, well, they didn't even ask, still sits in hard, right? Yeah. So just getting, you know, sitting down with your teen going, look, it's not maybe that they don't like you or they want to hang out with you, but you just didn't show that interest in that type of a movie, or, you know, so next time let them know that, yeah, you still want to go and hang along and check it out and maybe have a conversation about the movie after, and it could spark an interest. Who knows? So, but sitting down and with those feelings first and foremost is very important, because it's not going to happen just once in their life. It's going to happen a few times. Just like you said, going to that networking event, walking in and feeling like you don't belong, the imposter syndrome, right? It's just an early set of imposter syndrome. So how do we manage that before walking into a big head room with the head honchos of a business and feeling like, oh, I don't belong here?
Totally. And to echo what you were saying, Dina, about that too, is like, it doesn't represent that person is like a failure or that there's something wrong with them. I think that's a really important part of that message that I'm hearing from both of you. It's like, these are life events that happen, and as adults, I think sometimes it's easier for us to look back and say, yeah, those things happened and they led to who I am today. And so I can have some gratitude for them. I can have some some insight and perspective on them. And I think for our teens that are maybe experiencing them for the first time, or at such a vulnerable time, it doesn't feel like I can get perspective on this right away. It doesn't feel like I can look at this and be grateful that my friends didn't invite me to go to see the movie, you know? Yeah. So
like, you guys are a bunch of jerks. Yeah. You're definitely not like, oh, thank you guys for leaving me at home alone. And
we're not ready for that. Okay, we're just about up to the hour. We're just about up to the hour, and I want to ask Chantal one more thing. Is at the end of summer, kids are going to be heading back to school.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some anxieties. There's going to be some prep for that. How can we set them up for some success? Is there a few things that we could be considering to help them with their upcoming school year?
Yes, so good. This is the beginning of July, so we've got that lead time. There's some nice lead time, and because I think everything's a process, right? When we step into any kind of transition or change, and I mean, you're the experts of shift happens, so you probably like know that it's like if I have a little bit of time to transition or wrap my head around things, that is the ideal. And so if we can help our teens even by having conversations early on, it doesn't mean they have to happen right now. They may want to enjoy just a few weeks of not thinking about school or any of that stuff. But as you start to approach getting near school, maybe talking about things that will support them to get into that routine. It can be very like logistical things like sleep type hygiene and nutrition and those types of things. Like, what are some things that they think are going to help them feel their best as they get ready for school? Are there like things that they're looking forward to, or things that would, again, kind of like make that transition feel a little easier for them? So just starting to have those conversations a little bit ahead of time, if possible, and a slow implementation of things. So a lot of teens are sleeping in because their circadian rhythms are naturally, set so that they go to bed later, wake up later. Well, school doesn't work that way. So can we start to prep those things ahead
maybe school should.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah. So just, I think ahead of time is the important thing. And again, collaboration, curiosity, and can we start making some small changes ahead of time so that it doesn't feel like as much of a shock.
Yeah. Well, and then the talk of if you have to go to a different school and hopping in from junior high to high school, those are some bigger ones too, where it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that big jump of like changing schools and whatever. So those definitely have to be very gentle, good communication, and just say again, like, it may be a little bit uncomfortable the first day. I'll drive you to school, if hopefully the parent can, or maybe someone they trust can take them to the school for just the first day, pick them up, have that conversation after school. Like, how did it go? And, did those feelings we talk about happen during school? Because it could have been the same thing. They had all these ideas, like no one's going to like me and all this, whatever, but it could have just went complete opposite, and they had a blast and they love everyone, and and it wasn't as they expected, or like the guys are like, oh, there's so many cute girls at school, and like, you don't know, right? So there could be a pleasant surprise. And then if it didn't go right, to sit down and go, okay, like, that's just the first day. Tomorrow might be a little bit of a better day. What do you think we could work on or talk about that bothered you? Perhaps something like that. Dina, your take?
Possible to meet some of the new kids or the teacher, or tour the school. And, I'm sure the schools facilitate some of that, but definitely to take advantage of any of those opportunities so that first day isn't as scary. Or if they know one kid, can you coordinate that they can go together, or whatever. So just set them up for success and ease them in so it isn't just like so abrupt and a shock. Amazing. Thank you so much, Chantal, for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for shifting your shift with us.
I'm so glad I could make it.
Us too. We really appreciate you coming on. And Chantal, can you kind of give us a little bit of where anyone can find you if they want to talk to you, and a little bit like two 2 sentence of your bio and then where we can find you?
Yeah, for sure. So my team and I, we are all about helping teen girls build unbreakable mindsets. You can find us at anything pyramid psychology, so website, socials. And so if you're a parent of a teen or you know of a teen girl, we are the place to check out.
Nice. Okay. Dina, any last words from you?
No, thanks for your patience and letting me shift in here a little on the late side. I really appreciate the conversation, and I think that parents and cool clients everywhere are going to feel inspired.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything, you can either contact Chantal yourself, put it in the comments below. We'll get to them a little later on. Any ideas for any Shift Happens show for the future, feel free to let us know as well. If there's just a topic that you guys would really love us to dig into. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to have Alan Marston back. He was on Connected with Cari with myself a couple weeks ago. We're going to dig into AI again, and we're going to shift that perspective from, AI and it's taking over the world to, it might actually be helpful after all. So we'll dig into that. Again, Chantal, thank you for having yourself with us this afternoon and gracing us with your shiftness. We appreciate you and all your pyramid glory. Dina, thank you for shifting in too. I appreciate you, shifty shifter, shift sister. Love you. Love you guys. With that, we'll see you guys Saturday for Connected with Cari with Cheryl Crum. We're going to talk about Cultural Revolution. 2 weeks, Alan Marston AI. We'll see you guys then. Bye.